These next halachot in Siman Kuf Samech Alef 161 are called Dinei Chatzitza, the laws of Chatzitza. Can someone translate for me the word Chatzitza?
It's like a separation.
A separation, very good. We find these halachot in a number of places. Mostly you find this in laws of mikvaot.
Right.
When a person goes to the mikveh, they have to make sure there are no chatzitzot. There's nothing interrupting between their body and the water. Yeah? Now, it's an interesting question about how careful are you with chatzitzot. Chatzitzot is plural of chatzitza. When it comes to netilat yadayim. You can go to the mikveh is one thing. We know that we compare many things from mikveh to netilat yadayim. The question is, how far do we go in terms of chatzitza? So let's read together. Siman Kuf Samech Alef, chapter 161. Dinei Chatzitza Bintila. The laws of Chatzitza, of separation, when you wash your hands, Uvo Dalet Sifim, there are 4 halachot. Alef, halacha 1. Tzarich lizaher, this is Maran. Tzarich lizaher mechatzitza. One must be careful with chatzitza, in terms of washing their hands. שכל דבר שחוצץ בנטילה, בטבילה חוצץ בנטילה. Because everything that is a chatzitza with tevila, what is tevila?
Washing.
Tevila.
Tovel, to dip, to immerse.
In mikveh, when everything that is a separation, when you immerse in the mikveh, chotzetz b'ntila is also a problem when immersing your hands, when washing your hands with water. Kagon, for example, tzo'ah, shetachat atziporin. Okay, tzo'ah could literally mean feces, human waste that's under your fingernails. Shelo keneged basar, not opposite the flesh. Ubatzek, shetachat, we're going to explain what it means, the opposite the flesh, not opposite the flesh. Ubatzek and dough, shetachat etzivon, under the fingernail, afilu keneged basar, even opposite the flesh. Uti'ah sha'al besarom, Hashem should forgive me, it's been a long time since these details. A retiyah seems to be like a band-aid, let's say. Something you smear with an ointment and you put it on your skin. Vetit hayavan, and the mud that comes from wells. What's so special about the mud in the well?
It sticks to the skin.
Very good. It's more like a clay than it is a mud. Mud, mud from the puddle falls off your hand, but the mud that's in the earth, that mud is real mud. V'tit hayotzrim, and just in general, clay, like the artists used to make pottery and those kind of things. But those are all things that are a chatzitza. If you have those on your hands, dirt, mud, clay, so on and so forth.
Paint?
It tends to stick to the skin.
Paint will be, anything that will make a separation between your hand and the water, and you have to take it off before you wash your hands.
Interesting.
Aval, but, b'mi'uto she'en makpid, but if it's a minority of your body that's covered in this, and there's a second condition, not just minority, Eino makpid, it's the kind of thing you're not strict about. For example, it could be that a painter doesn't mind eating with dried paint on his hands. As long as his whole hand is not painted, but he's got like some paint in his fingernail, probably a painter doesn't care. I would, you would, but a painter doesn't. So it has to be something that's one, the minority of his body, and something you don't care about that's there. What do you find in halakha? In the laws of immersing utensils in the mikveh. If there's a sticker that says made in China on your glass cup, and you dip it in the mikveh with the sticker on, is it good?
No.
No, why?
It's a chatzitza.
The sticker is a chatzitza. It interrupted between your cup and the water. What if there's on your cup, there's gold plating?
No.
And you put it in the mikveh, does that work?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the
That's part of
utensil.
Say better than that, that's part of the utensil. So the made in China sticker is also part of the utensil.
That that's something you
It doesn't
remove
serve a
before you
functional
use.
purpose. So say what you're saying better. You're right. What's the deciding factor between what is an interruption and what is not?
How you would use it.
Meaning, how would you use it? Meaning.
You wouldn't want to take it off.
Oh, very good. It's dependent on, does it bother you?
Oh.
The made in China sticker, most people don't leave it on their cup, and therefore that's a chatzitza. But the gold plating that's on there, even though it doesn't serve a functional purpose, but it's a decoration you want there.
Especially that sticker says may be cancerous.
God forbid.
I had a friend who's a rabbi who, according to halakha, you only have to immerse
Everything.
glass in the mikveh. Metal. Our Chachamim added glass. Some rabbis along the way have decided that also ceramic has to be China. China, I mean not bone China, but okay, some people say that, but if you clay cheres, pottery, those things, they have to be immersed. So one of my friends, his rabbi, he got married, and he bought himself a new set for his wedding of, the ceramic dishes to serve on the Shabbat table. And his father-in-law came and said, I won't eat in your dishes until you immerse the ceramic in the mikveh. According to halakha, though,
Let me change this.
what happened? That's okay. You have a disease?
No.
Okay. Maybe you do. If you do, then change it.
You should immerse it in a mikveh first.
Yeah.
According to halakha, metal has to go to the mikveh. Glass has to go to the mikveh. Does ceramic have to go to the mikveh?
No.
According
No.
to the
So
rabbi.
these people say it does. So my friend is like, what are you going to do? On one hand, he wants to respect his father-in-law. On the other hand, he doesn't want to do a halakha that's fake. So what did he do?
He immersed it.
He went to the mikveh, put all his dishes in there, but he left the stickers on the bottom.
Oh.
And when his father-in-law came, but you left the stickers. And for me, that's my decoration. That way, they're really not considered immersed. But his father-in-law had a good excuse.
Did the father-in-law accept it?
Yeah. I guess if he was foolish enough to immerse the ceramic utensil, he could also accept the sticker was for a decoration. Haga, says the Rama. ומשום הכי, because of this, לא נהגו לנקר עתיד שתחת הציפורניים לנטילה. We're not accustomed to cleaning the dirt out from underneath our fingernails when we wash our hands. Mishum, even though a lady does when she goes to the mikveh. For two reasons. Mishum dehavi kimiuto she'eno makpid. It's a minority of it's covering your hand. I mean, how much dirt can be on your fingernails? Minority covering, and you don't care. Ken makpidim mazen tila, because people are not particular about this when they wash their hands. They'll eat with this. Avadim haya makpid. If you are particular about having dirt under your fingernails, utzarich lenakan, you have to clean them. V'chen ikar, and this is the halacha. V'efshar shnagu la'akel b'chatzitza al yan netilan. It could be that the reason you see people are not so careful about chatzitza when it comes to washing your hands, listen carefully. Ki yesh omrim.
Some say.
Because some say she'en sheyach chatzitza netilan. Because there are no problems of chatzitza when it comes to washing your hands. There is an opinion that holds that netilat yadayim is not like a mikveh. You can have chatzitzas on your hand when you wash your hands. And that's probably why people are lenient about this. Aval aikar kisva rishona. But the main halacha is like the first opinion, like Maran, which is there is a problem of chatzitza. So there's a question here, Rama saying if even there is a problem of chatzitza by netilat yadayim, he's trying to judge people favorably, those who are not particular. If you are particular though about the things that are on your hands and you don't take care of it, then really that's a problem. Especially according to Maran.
Do they determine situation, like, let's say like a workman who's painting a house or it's very difficult to clean and it's lunchtime? Would they take a situational aspect to it? Or is that ahead? I always seem to jump the gun on those things.
That's okay. We're going to have a conversation about it on page 221. Remind me when we get there to do the footnote. The footnote on 221, 222, 223 is all about
Yeah.
whether this is subjective or objective. That's,
Good
I mean,
point.
does it depend on you or does it depend on what most people would consider a chatzitah? Okay? We'll talk about that. There's an argument in how you interpret the Rambam over there. Okay, let's look under the two lens. I get this little bit on the other side of the way.
Can I ask a mikveh question while
Sure.
we're at it? But a woman who's going to mikveh is allowed to wear like a snoot or something over her hair to keep it when she immerses? And that's not considered to be a chatzitza?
It's a different area of halakha, but let's talk about that for a second. When a lady goes to the mikveh, what's the reason she has another lady there with her?
To make sure that she...
That she's
Everything
completely
is on
immersed.
To make sure that her hair is completely immersed. The reason a man doesn't need that is because his hair is short, presumably,
Yeah.
and it doesn't float up to the top of the water. But a lady who has long hair, when she goes down, she doesn't know if all her hair went into the water, and because of that, Chachamim put a balanit, a lady who looks, to say, oh, you're okay, the tefillah is okay. Today, these balaniot, some of them are very difficult people. They think that they're poskim, and they tell ladies what to do, and they how their nails should be cut, and nail polish, and da-da-da. They inspect ladies, and they do this, they do that, and it's become a situation where there are ladies that don't go to the mikveh directly because of these balaniot, because of these ladies.
Mhm.
It was up to me. Every time I get a question on halakha, and a lady asks, can you write a letter for the rabbi in my city that I can go to the mikveh there? I have a letter like that on our website. I never write such letters. I don't deal with this part. But normally a letter from my wife doesn't work. Because the way it works in other communities, not like here, is that who cares what the Rebbitzin says? What does she know about Judaism? Well, I'm sad that your Rebbitzin doesn't know anything about Judaism, but mine does. But that's a different story. For them, that's the reality. So sometimes I have to write the letter. So when I write a letter, my first point always, I'm giving honor to this rabbi. Oh, you're just a special person, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the letter, I always tell him, you know, it's very sad to me that because of the lady that you appointed in the mikveh, I have to write a halachic letter. That who is she? She works for you. You have to decide whether your community follows halakha or not. I don't have to be writing letters to you about, oh, the lady doesn't let our lady go to the mikveh because she doesn't follow halakha. The lady doesn't, it's not her job over there in the mikveh to rule halachot. That's not her purpose there.
Or
Sometimes it's better the mikveh shouldn't have a lady there. So you don't know how many people don't go to the mikveh because of this.
Oh, yeah.
Even just, I don't want someone looking at me when I'm not dressed. Oh, but how can you go to the mikveh then without another person? Hachamim already came up very simple. If a lady wears her hair in a like a net. Okay, so I'm not gonna say a snoot because I don't know if water penetrates. I don't wear a snoot, so I don't know. A net, you know, like the food safety nets. Imagine that.
safety net, yeah, like
Yeah.
a net.
That you can ensure that your hair goes underwater with you and that the water goes to your hair. Because it doesn't help if let's say you put your hair in like those swim caps,
Yeah.
but the water doesn't go there. That's the whole.
Right.
So you need something that's penetrable with water and that keeps your hair
in
down.
place.
If that's the case, then there's no need for a balanit at all. According to halakha. Listen, if you want to talk about Kabbalah, it could be that it's important. The first person you see out of the mikveh, it's fine, but it's not here in halakha. Halakha, it's not an issue at all. And that solves the chatzitza problem. By the way, I'm going to tell you something now. I know I'll get in trouble for it one day. Don't worry. Last month already, I've been getting the most messages and emails and letters from more people. I don't even... Okay. It says, Pnei hador k'pnei hakelev, the face of the generation like the face of a dog. Not the dog you buy in the pet store, the ugly dog. Yeah, that's what their face looks like. They bark and they make noise, they don't know anything. There could be a situation in which a lady wants to go to the mikveh, but she doesn't want to get undressed. She doesn't want someone looking at her. She has a problem with that. So what suggestion do you have?
Have
Wear
no one there.
A robe up
Can
to the
she
water.
wear a robe in the mikveh? Can you wear clothing in the mikveh?
I guess you could, you just take it up into the water.
She doesn't want to take it off. She's afraid of that lady who looks at her.
If it's
But
porous,
the water penetrates through.
So that's the question. Does the water penetrate through the robe?
if it's a terry cloth robe, it does.
If it's a loose robe and it's not made out of plastic,
Yeah.
you don't know what kind of things people wear nowadays.
I would say so, yeah.
And I'm sure you could find a robe that is very tight and water doesn't. But if imagine not, then really this robe can be worn inside of a mikveh. I'm not telling you something here. It's not a radical halakha. What I'm telling you. I know people will hear it. Oh my gosh, how can you say such something? It's very simple. Did she get wet?
Yes.
Is there a part of her that didn't get wet? So then the shoe was in the mikveh. The chatzitza is a sticker. The sticker makes sure you can't get wet. But a regular robe, in our bedin, for example, there's a big question. What do you do with a lady who comes to do gior? So she has to go to the mikveh. She has to go to the mikveh in front of 3 men. I'm familiar with the tshuva of Rav Uziel. Rav Uziel has a letter in which it's a problem for men to be in the mikveh to see the lady. So he allows a bedin of 3 ladies to be messengers of the bedin of 3 men to go into the mikveh with her. It's an interesting question. I'm not here to say right or wrong. What I'm here to say is, it's very interesting. Our parents on that piece, he asked, why then 3 ladies? You don't need a bedin. If they're a messenger of the bedin, it could be 1 lady.
Yeah.
And really, that's a b'di'avad situation. Which kind of situation would we do such a thing? If it was illegal, for example, for men to go to the same bathhouse as a woman, or if it was there was a real chashash of chil Hashem, it really would be a desecration of Hashem's name. The news is covering the rabbis going into the bathhouse, the naked lady. Could be. I'm not here. In a regular situation, where the rabbis are righteous people, and the lady is a righteous convert, we don't have reason to be afraid. Unfortunately, there are instances, like if you remember in Washington D.C., where there were perverts, real perverts, that are recording ladies going to the mikveh. Crazy people, that took away the trust in Chachamim, who are actually doing this job righteously. So, what do we ask from a lady? 2 things, 3 things really. One is, no lady is ever alone inside of a mikveh, never. Always my wife or one of the other rabbis' wives are there with her. Meaning, there's always someone there looking out for this woman. By the way, it also has to do with there batei din, or when the lady gets interviewed by the bedin, she's still in her robe. She's wearing nothing except for her robe, and 3 rabbis are fully dressed in front of her, asking her questions. But no, you can't wait 10 minutes. Speak to her like a human being in an office. Then she goes and changes, and then goes into the mikveh. Why do you have to talk to her when she's dressed like that? You would never make your wife do that. You would never make your daughter do this. So just because she's converted to Judaism, you can oppress her. It's a crazy thing. So by us, always, there's a lady involved in this process. It's just to make sure that this woman has a voice. I was in a bedin once upon a time in Yerushalayim, not about conversion, money bedin. And the rabbi made the woman stand there alone and threw out all of the ladies that came with her. I don't want any ladies in my bedin. Yeah, I was there. You know what it's like for a religious lady? Or a non-religious lady? Any lady to be stuck in a room full of men she doesn't know. I'm not exaggerating now. There were maybe 40 men in that room.
Wow.
20 of them were people who were learning how to be judges on a bedin. Other of them were observers like me that were there. And she was alone. It's not fair. Someone has to. We have a woman who's an advocate for the person who's in the mikveh, always. Second thing, she wears a robe in the mikveh. Always. There's a rabbi in LA who likes to speak Lashon Hara. He is very strict that the ladies have to go inside the mikveh with no clothes. Of course, I know a lot of people are strict like that. They're perverts. A lady can wear a robe, a big robe. She goes into the mikveh. Before we even come into the room, she's in the mikveh. My wife walks into the mikveh, she's in the mikveh. Now what happens next? The rabbis come in. How far do we have to be? Just enough to see who we're talking about. So what do? Imagine that, imagine this book is a mikveh. Yeah, these are the walls of the mikveh. She stands up all the way against the wall with her back to the wall. So we can't see anything except for this. I don't see even into the water, I don't see. And her back is, meaning when she goes into the water also, she's not compromised at all because the robe is in the back, it's closed for sure. And we ask her just, are you ready? You accept, you're converting, you accept the mitzvot? Yes. She goes into the water. By the time she comes out, we're already gone. Not when she comes out of the mikveh. When she comes, her head comes out of the water, but as long as we saw that it's okay, we leave. She comes out, she's again alone with my wife. She makes a bracha with my wife, and that's the end of what we see. The lady is not embarrassed to show you the back of her head. But for a man, I feel the man is actually in the water. He's completely in the water. We're there, we're talking to him, we're having a conversation with him. But for a woman, we would never compromise her integrity like that. But there are cases where, for example, a robe is, a lady still feels uncomfortable in a robe. She's never been that undressed in front of another man. So, perhaps there's another solution. I know it sounds funny. In Yerushalayim, we'll do this sometimes. We cover the whole mikveh with a sheet. And in the middle of the sheet, there's a little hole. I know this is all the stereotypes you think of Hasidim. She sticks her head through the hole, and she speaks to us. You can't see anything. It's a black sheet. And then she goes. The moment she goes into the water, we disappear. Ad kadei kach. All of these things are meant to not compromise the tzniut of a person. We believe the bedin has to be there. We believe the bedin has to be 3 men. That's fine. But there's a limit to how much you can pervert halakha before you are considered a criminal. How much can you make a person suffer? Then she has to come to the Beit and see the rabbi who saw her undress her whole life inside the mikveh. That's tzanuah to you. That's modesty to you. It's not normal. So now, because the mikveh lady, she is a lady, now she can also be not tzanuah? But women don't have laws of modesty? A lady can see another lady not dressed just because she... Come, what happened to tzniut? People ask me all the time. You know, there are people who go to men who go to the mikveh every day. So you have to go to the mikveh. You want to go to the mikveh? Fine. But not when there's other men there. I've seen mikvahot where men are undressed standing in line, going into the mikveh. What kind of place is it? It's a kind of club.
It's an embarrassment.
It's a mikveh. You're supposed to come here to become holy, not the other way around. Some people even come with little children.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lie, little 8 years old, 6 years old, 9 years old, 5 years old. Him and his dad are holding hands, none of them wearing clothes, all the men from the Beit HaKnesset. Something is modest here in the world of 2019 already.
It's not pretty.
You have so many problems of child abuse and molestation, and still you want to bring your 8-year-old kid to the mikveh. Sometimes they send the kid on his own to the mikveh. You know, for a person who's a pedophile, the mikveh is the best place to hang out.
Yep.
He can sit there all day long. It's not illegal. He can see whatever he wants. A community has to be tzanuah. There has to be standards. So people ask me here, should we go to the mikveh? I say no. Don't go. Or go to the ocean. A man can go to the swimming pool. And I'm not talking about a woman. A woman goes to they have a lot of privacy in a woman's mikveh. Separate rooms and a curtain. But by men, why compromise your tzniut? On Erev Yom Kippur, you want to compromise your tzniut? There's an opinion even you can go under the shower for 3 minutes. Counts as a mikveh for men, not for women, for men. So why would you on Erev Yom Kippur even go stand in a place with a bunch of naked? It doesn't make sense. For us to think straight with all of these things. If a lady is going to stop going to the mikveh because what if the mikveh lady is going to tell her, that family must come up with an arrangement to make sure that she can still go to the mikveh without any of these problems. From here in San Diego, there's one mikveh and one mikveh lady who, no matter what the situation is, she'll always be helpful. I can't say all the mikveh ladies and I can't say all the mikvahot. There's one mikveh when we have problems, my wife has a friend, that person always helps. There's never a person. If you know of a person who doesn't go to the mikveh, I got a phone call not so long ago. A lady needed to go to the mikveh, and she called, said, sorry, we need appointments 48 hours in advance. So she said, what am I going to do? Come back in 2 days.
Oh my goodness.
Already almost 14 days she's not with her husband. Now you want to add 2 more days? What do you think? Everyone is, I don't know, Sarayimenu, everyone knows, everyone's complete, you know that she's going to mess up?
You know, some women's cycles.
Yeah, of course, that's
the
they're very sensitive.
Yeah.
So immediately the same night, my wife called someone, another mikveh. But why do we have to deal with that kind of stuff? Why did the Jewish woman have to deal with that kind of stuff?
They're already dealing with enough.
Why does a woman have to feel like when she goes to the mikveh, she should bring a letter from her rabbi? I wrote to a rabbi in New Jersey. I wrote him a letter. I said, you should be embarrassed, ashamed of yourself. I said, in Morocco, Rabbi Shalom Asa said, in his whole life of being the chief rabbi in Morocco, because someone asked him, what's the custom of women in the mikveh? He said, I don't know. So why not? He says, because I've never answered a question about mikvahot for women. Why? It was considered a breach of modesty. Why did the ladies come into the rabbi to ask this question? I said, so now you're making Jewish women have to ask you questions that for 2,000 years they were able to be modest about. Now they have to come to the rabbi for a letter of approval to go to the mikveh. What kind of upside down world are we living in? It's important though that a person knows halachot well. And they know a rabbi who knows halachot well, a rabbanit who knows halachot well, because that's the only way you're able to survive this kind of situation. So maybe after we finish this chapter here, we'll learn the halachot of mikvaot, because all the halachot of mikvaot of separation are not just relevant to women, they're also relevant to a man, for example, who's going to go through a giur process. Also those same halachot. So it's important to learn this. Let's first focus on the chapter 9. Dinei chatzitza, we're under the 2 lines. Dinei chatzitza b'tat yadayim, the laws of chatzitza, of separation, when it comes to washing hands, והמקום ביד הצריך נטילה. Which part of the hand actually needs to be washed? That's the later part of the chapter. הקדמה לדיני חציצה בנטילת ידיים. This is the introduction to the laws of חציצה. א', דיני חציצה בנטילת ידיים, the laws of חציצה in נטילת ידיים, נלמדים, we learn them, מדיני חציצה לעניין טבילת כל הגוף, למי שהוא טמא. We learn them from the laws of חציצה, of immersion of the whole body in the water for a person who's tameh. So we learn out the laws of netilat yadayim and their chatzitzot from the laws of tvila when a person is impure and has to go to the mikveh. Forgive me that I used the word impure. I don't have a better translation for word tal and tameh, though impure and pure are not the correct words. V'linyan tvilat haguf, and regarding the tvila for your body, lamdu chazal b'masechet pesachim. Our rabbis learn in Masechet Pesachim, on page 109, pasuk from the pasuk in Vaikra, chapter 15, verse 16. V'rachatz b'mayim et kol besaron. He must wash his whole body with water. What do they learn from here? Why does it say whole body and not just washed his body in water?
His whole has to be immersed.
Very good. All of it has to be immersed, meaning shelo yeh davar chotzetz ben b'saron lamayim. There can be nothing that separates from his body and the water. If you want to look at the Rashi script in the bottom, Siman Kuf Samech Alef in the Rashi script, Alef, V'chen Pasku HaRambam, that's the Rambam rules, the two rules that way, the Shulchan Aruch Siman, Maran and the Shulchan Aruch Siman rules that way. There's an interesting thing. Okay, so you have to wash your whole body in water. Maybe it means take a shower, not immerse yourself in the mikveh. Like maybe it doesn't have to be immersion. Maybe it could just be rinsing. You have to wash all your body, because that's what the pasuk sounds like it's saying, right? Ayin basifra. Look in the sifra, parashat Emo. That's my mitzvah parashat. Shlamdu ken, that they learned out this halacha mimash ne'emar, from that which it says in Vaikra, ki im rachatz besaro b'mayim. You should wash. What does it say? It's talking about a person who's impure. He has to wait 7 days. He has to immerse his body on the 7th day. Uva hashemesh v'taher, and the sun sets and he becomes pure. So what happens? There's 3 things he has to do. 1, wait for 7 days. 2, he has to
Wait till the sun sets.
wait till the sun sets. And 3, he has to go to the mikveh.
This is like something like a tzav.
Azav, yeah, exactly. Uva, and this, so what does it mean that the sun has to set? Ma bi'at shimsho kulo ke'echad. Just like sun setting affects your entire body as one. It's not like part of the sun is on your body and part of the sun is not. Sunset means you went from light to dark. Af bi'ato b'mayim kulo ke'echad. You also have to be immersed in the water at one time. I mean, we learn out the connection of the sun setting and immersing in the water. They come to teach you something about each other. Just like the sun sets at once on your whole body, so too it has to be the water goes in your body the whole time. Not just enough to pour a cup here, pour a cup there, and get your whole self wet. You have to be immersed inside of the water. Let's go back up to the big paragraph. Umin haTorah. You see that? Baruch, you see that? Zed? Moshe, you see it's the second.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Umin haTorah. You see
Right,
that?
right here.
Umin haTorah. According to the Torah itself, En chatzitza poselet linyan tvilat haguf. Chatzitza does not invalidate your tvilah. I'm using a lot of Hebrew words, so just remember them. Chatzitza means separation. Tvilah means immersion. Netilah means washing your hands. So a chatzitza does not nullify your tvilah, your immersion in the water, Elim ken haya davar chotzetz mechaset rov gufo. Unless that which is on your skin covers the majority of your body. On a biblical level, on a Torah level, unless you're completely covered in mud, a little bit of mud doesn't make you a chatzitza. You must know the difference in a biblical chatzitza and a rabbinic chatzitza. Uvnosaf al kach, and in addition to it having to cover the majority of your body, hu makpid alav ve'rotze la'aviro, it has to be the kind of thing that bothers you and that you want to take off. Let me give you an example. A good example, something you'd cover your whole body in, but you don't want to take it off. Let's say a person goes, they're feeling that they're a little bit too white, their skin color. So they spread tanning lotion all over their body. That stuff can kill you. But I'm just telling you, and by the way, it looks really bad too. It doesn't even look good. It looks like you spray painted somebody. But let's just say, that tanning lotion, they want to wear that. And that covers the majority of their body. So as opposed to you being covered head to toe in mud, which you hope to shower off, this person actually wants to be covered in this. Maybe a nicer example would be like a baby lotion. You cover the baby with a baby lotion, and he wants to be covered. Not the baby, but you want to. It's not a dirt, even though it's a separation between the water and you. But it's not a separation you want to get rid of. So it has to be two things. In order, according to the Torah, for it to disqualify your mikveh, it has to be one, covering
the majority
of your body, and two, it has to be something
that you don't
want on your body. But if it's something that does not cover the majority of your body, according to the Torah, it's not a chatzitza.
Min Rabbanim?
Yeah, midabaran it is. According to the rabbis, it is. But according to the Torah, it's not.
I guess it would also cover tattoos.
We should talk about tattoos, because the question is: a tattoo a chatzitza, or is a tattoo already inside of your skin?
Inside your skin.
By the way, I had a good question someone asked me once. When I told them that they could go into the mikveh in the ocean wearing a bathing suit, I mean like a robe, a loose bathing suit, they asked me, what about a wetsuit? And I said, I cannot answer that question because I've never worn a wetsuit.
Yeah,
But I have to research wetsuits and how they work. Why does a person wear a wetsuit? Now, it turns out there are two kinds of wetsuits. You might be laughing at me that I only discovered this recently. There's really what they call a wetsuit and a dry suit, but they both look the same. A wetsuit, the way it keeps you warm is that you get wet, but it traps a very thin layer of water underneath that material against your skin. And your skin heats up that water, and that water, even though you're in cold water, but the water that's on your skin is always warm. That's how a wetsuit works. A dry suit is what you think of when you think of a wetsuit. A dry suit is one that really your skin doesn't get wet at all. It's so tight on your skin that it's meant to keep the water out so you can actually be inside of cold water. Definitely a dry suit would not work when it comes to the mikveh. That's a real chatzitza of your whole body. And a wetsuit is an interesting question. I have a question about it because... Should I tell you how the question got there?
Yeah.
Like I told you last night, the Torah is interconnected. Let's say you go to the mikveh to immerse your pot inside of the mikveh. But if you put the pot and you let go, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So what can you do? What's the solution?
Fast.
Put a string on it.
Right, so really you can drop it and grab it again, but that's assuming you're quick.
Or use a net.
My father once did that. He went to the ocean, he leaned over on the cliff, he put it in, he thought he was going to grab it, but a wave came. I don't know, somewhere in Japan, someone got a brand new pot, you know? I don't know where that pot is.
You never got it back.
So the other option you have, well, but modern day people, they put in a basket or a net that has holes, and you kind of just, but let's say you don't have that.
Or could you grab it from one end and then grab it in the other end?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
what?
So watch this.
Yeah.
And imagine this is the pot, okay?
Yeah.
So you put it inside of the water. Now, you dip it in the water. This is the water level. So now you pass the water.
Yeah.
But is it fully immersed in the water when you're holding it?
No, because
No,
covering the pot.
Very good. Because your hand is covering that pot. Underneath your fingers it's dry. Now, really, the hope is you could go like this, right? You could. But let's say you can't. So there's another option. The other option is you take your other hand and you make it wet in the mikveh. You make it wet in the mikveh, and underneath the water you hold on to the object, you let go. Now this hand is wet all around it, and if you take your hand out and it's wet, and then you hold it, you can make an argument that that water is detached from the mikveh, and therefore it's not mikveh water anymore. But if you keep your hand underneath the water, and you hold on to the pot, now it's entirely covered in water, and that's something that we do. In fact, there's a famous halakhic question about a lady in Ashkenaz. I think the Noda Yehuda answered this question. I don't remember his answer exactly, but the question was, his wife is too afraid to go to the mikveh at night, because she can't swim. It's dark. And the mikveh lady doesn't want to come for whatever reason. And she can't find a friend to come. The question was, can the husband hold her hand as she goes into the mikveh? Or let her go into the mikveh and then he could hold her hand? At which point does she become not a nida anymore that he could hold her hand? And the question was, if he's going to hold her hand, does he have to make his hand wet first and then hold her hand? Can he take his hand out of the mikveh and hold her hand? Well, these are those questions. So my question here about the wetsuit is the water underneath the wetsuit considered detached from the ocean or not? I don't have a good answer. I'd have to look really inside. A bathing suit, I don't have a problem because when you're in the water, the water's going everywhere. A wetsuit, it's a question. It's a good question. I'd have to look, see if someone talked about it or compare halachot one with the other. People think that HaShamayim, they only know how to tell you food is kosher. But the Torah is very broad. It discusses a lot of things. And even if you don't really care what the halakha is of a wetsuit, HaShamayim are asking important questions. When do you determine that something is detached or attached? How do you know if there are certain concepts you're getting at when you ask somebody a question. Most people who didn't learn Torah, and they're not lawyers, don't know really how to decipher a question, how to take it apart, to pull this question apart and answer it. I think something that I see all the time, I'll ask somebody a question like, what's a question that would make somebody mad? If I eat a ham and cheese sandwich, am I eating not kosher because I'm eating ham? Or am I also violating the prohibition of eating meat and milk together?
Yes, several times. It's ham.
Very good. I've asked several times. What's the answer to this question?
It's not considered meat and milk because ham is not a kosher meat.
Very good. In order for it to be violating meat and milk, it has to be kosher meat and kosher milk.
Oh.
Right.
If it's not kosher meat and not kosher milk, then you're violating eating not kosher, but not the prohibition of meat and milk together. Outside of this kola, when I bring that question up, it makes people very upset. What do you mean? But anyways, it's not kosher. I understand. Anyways, it's not kosher. I'm not trying to allow you to eat a cheeseburger and a ham and cheese sandwich. The question I'm trying to ask you to understand is, are you able to separate the laws of kosher from the laws of meat and milk? Do you have the mental capacity to do such a thing? If you cannot, then how am I supposed to learn with you? And often I see this. I see this when people argue about politics, people argue about religion, people argue about... they don't know how to separate one issue from another issue. Everything is tied up in one bundle of emotions for them.
But no lawyer worth their salt would think that way.
No lawyer worth their salt? Of course.
They have to be able to separate.
You have to. Of course what it is. I mean, when you argue with a client, this client is a murder suspect. What you're arguing now is not whether he's a murderer or not. Was it premeditated? Was it first-degree murder? Second-degree murder? Was it by accident? Was he... just because he's crazy doesn't mean he's not... You have to be able to take apart a person's story and attack pieces of it. You know, in the way that most people think is very juvenile. It's very simple. And simple is not... It's not so wonderful. In fact, there was a quote on there, on the tea bag. So let me just bring it to you one second. Zeb once told me a quote from Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said that if you cannot explain a complicated matter simply, then you haven't truly grasped it.
Right. But to oversimplify.
Right.
Yeah.
So I saw a quote here, and I don't know if it's true, but Celestial Seasoning says it's true.
Most equal.
Leonardo da Vinci writes that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And you know when I saw this was in yeshiva. I am a student of Rav Peretz. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that. And one of the main reasons why people believe Rav Peretz's class is because they view him to be too simple. Rav Peretz will not engage you in a conversation, a futile but intellectual conversation. He will not sit with you and have a theoretical halachic conversation if he doesn't feel that it has some kind of relation to reality. He doesn't teach philosophy, and it's not his thing. His thing is, how can I take a very complicated area of halakha and pass it off to my students in a way that is so clear that 20 years from now, they're not going to remember that there was a 20-way argument about it, but they'll remember what the halakha is. That's the purpose of it.
That's the Rambam's direction.
Yeah, it's right. So some will argue this way, that way, but when you're trained in a classic yeshiva system, what the classic yeshiva system is, I mean the yeshiva system that exists in the modern world. I don't mean classic as in how it used to be. The more nonsense, the more not sophisticated but complicated you can make something, the more genius it is. In fact, I just saw recently one of the Acharonim from
Building castles in the air.
Yeah, but it really is building castles in the air. They're really basing everything on nothing. It's like, and it all falls down. It's a house of cards. It's a domino. It's not real. It's not substantial. It's very intellectually stimulating, but there's no substance at the end of the day. And that kind of teaching has become so popular. I almost feel sometimes when you speak at Dvar Torah and you tell people that, following Hashem and being a better person, yeah, and all of those things, they get very bored. Oh, what are you telling me? The Bereshit means Hashem created the world. Oh, really, Bereshit means Bara, Shit, this, that. What is Chanukah? Chanukah, whatever, Pesach. So recently someone told me something like this. They told me at Dvar Torah, I don't remember something they told me, and I said, yeah, that's cute, but it's not spelled that way. I mean, it's nice that you made Dvar Torah, but it's not spelled that way. Oh, why do you have to ruin every pshat? I'm not ruining a pshat. It wasn't even a pshat in the first place. The Hebrew wasn't even accurate. You have to be a little bit. But unfortunately, if you don't say it about and say, the numerical value of golden is silver, and therefore it wasn't a golden calf, it was a silver calf, and it wasn't a calf, it was a horse, and then you say, so the Jews really were worshiping the silver horse, it wasn't a golden calf, because when you look in the mirror, you put a golden calf in the calf. That's what people sound like today. That's Dvar Torah. But if you're going to tell them golden calf, it really was a golden calf. It's so boring. That's so simple.
There's another problem, which is that it seems that if you wanted to live by how most Rabbanim paskin, you'd have to have a lifestyle that is so attenuated, because you have to, the way people are today, they're surfing, they wear wetsuits, they do this, they go here, they do that, they're on an airplane, and this situation has, and there's no one who knows how to deal with situations that come up in those. I mean,
today
because people are all over the world, all over the place.
Today in my forum, someone asked a good question, and that was, can you set a coffee maker to turn on Shabbat and make coffee?
Yeah, I saw that.
Because there's a heated debate going on over there, and I wanted to. I'm not an expert in coffee makers, nor in this particular area in Chol Shabbat, but I have research to do. Someone came up with a good answer, and that is, so just make cold pressed coffee. And whereas that's a great suggestion for somebody who likes cold pressed coffee, you didn't actually answer the question. Simply what you said was, well, don't get yourself in this problem, and then you'll be able to avoid it. And that's the way most people rule in halakha today, which is, if you live in the little Jewish ghetto, and you live your whole life with us, and you don't go anywhere, you don't travel anywhere, you don't do business with anybody, then you won't have any of these problems. But halakha, the whole purpose of halakha is not to confine you to a little room in which you live in a virtual reality. Halakha, literally halakha, how to walk. It's meant to teach you how to incorporate the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything that you do inside of your life. And this is a reason why, and I once saw an article from one of the philosophers of this generation, who wrote that the main difference between the Poskei Halakha of the Sfaradim and the Poskim was particularly this. The Sephardic rabbi was never a Rosh Yeshiva. This concept didn't exist in Sfarad. He was the rabbi of the community, who also meant that in his community he has students who studied with him, they were his yeshiva. He was also maybe the shochet, he could have been the mohel, he was involved in the people, he sat on a bedin. He was very involved in the lives of the people. And therefore he knew that he could never rule in halakha in such a way that would isolate his community from following halakha. He had to take their life circumstances into consideration. The Ashkenazi Rosh Yeshiva was a brilliant person. He sat at the head of an elite group of students, only teaching people that were able to comprehend the depth of his wisdom, but he wasn't a rabbi of a synagogue. He never spoke to regular people. He never gave speeches. He never spoke to people about their marriage. He doesn't know how to slaughter a cow, and he doesn't know how to write a Sefer Torah. He doesn't know. He's just a brilliant thinker. When that person rules halakha, and the only frame of reference he has are these 10 elite students that sit all day learning Torah with him, you can imagine that for the person on the street, this version of Judaism is just entirely inaccessible. It's for that reason that I once heard, I believe it was Rav Aaron Cutler, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Lakewood.
Right.
He was asked a halakha question. Don't ask me this question. Go ask Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky this question. What, you don't know the answer to this question? He said, no, I know the answer that I would give. But I was never the rabbi of a community. I was always a Rosh Yeshiva. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky used to be a rabbi of a community when he lived in Europe. And you have to ask him this question because he knows what people are going through when they answer this question. And I think in general, this attitude of ruling halakha on a very lofty throne and not knowing what the regular Jewish people, and those are the Jewish people, The majority of the Jewish people do not sit in yeshiva all day long. It's not even the goal for us to be that way. You must have chachamim who are able to. What does David HaMelech say? So all the other kings sit on their thrones and they sleep in their beds and they walk with. He says, and I am busy sitting in the bedin, judging people's cloths to see if they're pure or they're not. They can be with their husbands. I'm busy deciding if this is a fetus, not a fetus. Oh, he said, my hands are dirty with the people, and he was very proud of himself for that. I mean, I'm a king who's not removed from my people. This is the way that it's supposed to be. And there are poskim. I'm not in the Ashkenazi community also. You'll see that there is a difference between a Rav who's involved with people and one who isn't. It's very obvious to me to see those two people. I had a Hasidic rabbi stay with me about a year and a half ago. A young man, maybe 2 years older than me, who's considered the up-and-coming star in certain areas of halakha. He's a brilliant genius in there. He left me even 2 of his books, and I've been through his books. He's very well learned. He came with his wife. He stayed at my house for 4 hours. He was catching another flight, and his wife knew my wife from somewhere, so he came. And I had an opportunity to sit down and talk to him a little bit. I've never met a more socially awkward person in my whole life. He could not have a conversation where he could look at me in my eyes. I'm not talking about my wife. And that even with his own wife, it was very weird to watch them interact. It's almost like she was his mother. She took care of him. She moved things for him. He was living in La La Land. And I'll tell you, I read his books. He knows a lot of Torah. What terrifies me is that in a few years from now he's going to have a white beard and his shtreimel is going to get a little bit bigger and he's going to be considered, the posek of this whole community, and he doesn't even know how to have a conversation with his wife.
Wow.
So how is he going to rule for people halakha?
Yeah.
It's not enough to just know halakha. You must know people. It's also not enough to just know people. There are a lot of people who rule halakha, but they don't know anything about halakha. A lot of rabbis in the world today that they're not learning enough, but they know people very well. That's because you be a social worker. You have to be both, a person who knows and a person who understands. It has to be both.
Not easy.
It's not easy, and it's getting harder and harder to find. You know, whenever I see someone say, "What do you think about Rabbi so and so?" Said you can't use an iPhone, you break iPhone. So listen, does Rabbi so and so, has he ever held an iPhone in his hands? Someone asked me a question recently about what's this machine that cooks food in bags? The French, sisu voude. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about? They put the meat in a bag and they put it in a pot and they have this pole they stick inside, an electric pole, and it cooks the meat. There's no word for it.
Never heard of that before.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like a fad nowadays. So they asked me about using that in kashrut.
Instapot?
No, not an Instapot. It's literally the pole heats up the water. I don't know exactly how this works. They asked me, can I use it? I said, I don't know. I don't know what this thing is.
Yeah.
But we'll send you an article. I said, no, I've never used one before. How can I tell you the halakha about something that I have no understanding of? So someone was a little bit upset, like, are you avoiding my question? I said, no, I'm trying not to become the rabbi who forbids the iPhone. He doesn't know what the iPhone is.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to rule on something I'm not aware of. Rabbi David Shalush, the chief rabbi of Netanya, in his books, Chamdag Nuzah, about electricity, someone asked him, can you use electricity on Shabbat? He says, I can't answer that question yet, because I don't know enough about electricity. I know enough about Shabbat, but not about electricity. And he hired for himself a professor of electricity, electrical engineer, but a doctor, to sit with him for weeks and to teach him what he called chokhmat electricity, the wisdom. How does it work? What are the physics behind it? What is the science? What does it mean when you? What are all the different wires? What are they for? They said, now I'm able to answer this question. How could I answer a question I don't know anything about?
Yeah.
My father has a degree in electrical engineering. His favorite thing is when a rabbi says you cannot use electricity on Yom Tov, is just to ask him, Rabbi, can you explain to me what electricity is? Oh, it's the thing in the light. What is electricity? How can you forbid or permit, either way, something you don't know what you're talking about? You can say, I'm relying on another rabbi who said it's forbidden, but to say that you know that electricity is allowed or not allowed, who are you? You don't know what you're talking about. That's your medical halakha question. There are rabbis who know medicine. I'm not one of them. You have to talk to someone who's an expert in what they're talking about. You will never go to a lawyer and ask him how to do your accounting. Same thing also with chachamim, in the same way.
That woman who wouldn't come to see me without her rabbi asking for kosher certificates for every herb I had in my place.
Right.
Didn't know anything about herbs.
And that's, unfortunately, that's the state of the union. This is where we're at. We must learn halakha in a way that's intelligent. So I'll tell you about parents. simplicity is not evil. Simplicity is sometimes the greatest genius. But oversimplifying something to where it's dumb, that's not simple. Simple and dumb. I was upset, they call him the simple son in the Haggadah. He's not the simple son, he's the dumb son. Forgive me, I'm using a word like that. He's not simple. Simple is it's a good character trait, simplicity. The person who lives a simple life, they're not running after money, they're not running after luxuries. That's a good thing, it's a wholesome life. A person who they're not able to think properly. I always tell this, I once had a rabbi who I was able to observe him in a Shalom Bayit meeting. I mentioned two people. And he asked the couple, they were ready to kill each other, this couple. And he asked him, he said, can you tell me 10 good things about your wife? Objectively, as a good human being. Can you tell me 10 good things about her? No. Nothing good about her. Well,
Bye-bye.
you're a liar. I mean, there's nothing I could do with you. Because everybody knows that even the person you hate the most, you can find something good about them. Something. They're a good mother. They're good at washing dishes. They're good at their job. They're good in their in school. They're something has to be good. If you can't say something good about somebody, it's the same way the other way. When you meet a young couple and they're dating each other, they're goo goo gaga all over each other, and they want to get married. That's a very simple question. Can each of you tell me 3 bad things about each other? Terrible things, like bad character traits. No, he's perfect. Well, if you think this guy is perfect, then you shouldn't marry him, because you're not seeing the truth right now. You're a little bit stupid. You're blinded right now by love. Unless you're able to find the flaws. I know these flaws, and I'm marrying them. I have a friend who's married to a lady. He's very sick. Baruch Hashem, today I think he had a lot of kidney problems back in the day. And when she actually met him on the internet. Back in the days of chat rooms. So Israel, she met him in a chat room. And she went out with him. And they fell in love. They got married. Religious people. That's a true story. And her parents said, how could you date a guy that has a disease? Well, you're not afraid that he's going to drop dead one day? She said, look at my friend. I have another friend. She married a perfectly healthy guy. They had 7 children together. And he died at the age of 30-something with 7 children. She said, at least I know what disease this guy has. And now I can go into a relationship knowing that we have to take care of it. But sometimes you think, oh, a person's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
That's right.
You're going to buy something, a house, a car, whatever you're going to buy. You know there's going to be a flaw. Somewhere in the house there's a problem. If you know what the problems of the house are, you're not afraid to buy it, because you know nothing's going to be perfect. Unless they're building me a brand new house, it's not going to be perfect. I have to choose which flaws am I able to deal with. You're buying a car. You want X, Y, and Z. But you can't have all of them. So what's the best thing for you? You're getting married. It's the same thing. Nobody's perfect. Which shortcomings are you able to deal with, and which ones are you not able to deal with? But if you think they're perfect, you're blind. A lot of people are very simple like that when they think. Let me read you one last halakha. In the middle of that second paragraph. Even if your body is majority covered, but you don't care. Remember the tanning oil? You're mostly covered in it, but you don't mind. Is it okay according to the Torah to go into the mikveh like that? The Torah, not the rabbis.
Yes.
Yes, why? Because
You're okay.
Because you're okay with it. I mean, even if you have to have both. It has to cover the majority of your body, and you don't want it. ומכל מקום, in any case, חכמים גזרו להחמיר כשהיה דבר חוצץ על מיעוטו, ומקפיד עליו. Our rabbis made 2 extra rules. 1, if it covers the majority of your body, if it covers a minority of your body, but it bothers you, it's not okay. או על רובו, but if it covers a majority of your body, ואינו מקפיד עליו, but you don't mind, you still can't go in. So they made it has to be, either one of those is a problem. Even if it covers the minority of your body, and you don't mind, and you do mind, or it covers the majority of your body, but you don't mind, according to the Chachamim, it doesn't work, it doesn't count. Meaning, even though the Torah says one thing, what's the reason? They made a gzera, mishum rubo umakpid alav, because maybe you'll come to immerse with something that covers the majority of your body, and you don't want it. And because of that, our Chachamim made a gzera, they made a decree. the laws of mikvah, for example, you have something like body hair. Is that a chatzitza? The real question is, it could be a chatzitza. If this is the kind of thing that a person usually removes, and they didn't do it now, and that bothers them, then it would be a chatzitza. If it's the kind of thing a person doesn't remove, it's not a problem. There are many halachot here. Some are subjective, some are objective. But according to our Chachamim, the laws of tefillah are much stricter than the laws of the Torah. Because according to the Torah, even if it covers the majority of your body, and you don't mind, it's okay. But the Chachamim made it stricter. It has to be the minority of your body and something that you don't mind to count. But if it's the majority of your body, or if it's something that you do mind, Chachamim would not allow that mikveh, that tefillah to count. And the details of that conversation are going to have ramifications next week on page 218 when we discuss Netilat Yadayim and all the little details that come along.